Hey, how'd everyone's week and weekend go last week? Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. It's Monday, so of course you know what that means. Got to make a video. So what I'm gonna do is next week, this time next Monday, if I get 50 subscribers, right now I have a whole 13. If I get up to 50 subscribers by next Monday, I'll give myself a live haircut on YouTube. I have a new webcam, so it'll be a lot easier to do it. But yeah, so if you haven't yet, hit subscribe. Let's get up to 50 so you guys can see me give myself a haircut. So this past week I was able to get out a little bit with all the restrictions being lifted, or not all the restrictions, but restrictions being eased up a little bit. On Thursday I went golfing in Woodland at a place called Wild Wings. It's not the greatest course, but I've played it a lot worse. It was only 9 holes, so you just play it twice to make 18. Pretty straightforward. Not many hazards, except for really like 1 or 2 holes, which of course, both times around, lost the ball on that hole. But shot at 84, which I'll easily take, but I could have shot so much better. But I mean, for not playing for 2 months, I'll take an 84. And like I said, it was pretty straightforward, but it was golf. Finally able to get out. It was nice and hot. It was like 93, 94 or so, but a little bit breeze. But of course, me being white, got burnt right on my calves. One place I forgot to put sunscreen on. Then on Saturday, I went out to my mom's in Marin. She has a one person sailboat, which I decided to give a try, and I had no idea what I was doing to start with. So they towed me out, and when we were about to go, I was like, maybe we should switch so I kind of know what I'm supposed to do. And then, of course, right as we're thinking about switching, they hooked it up, and then I just took off with the wind. I was like, oh, God, this is not good. I was doing my best to not fall into that water because that water was cold. So if you don't know anything about a sailboat, you have the sail that goes from side to side, right? And you're supposed to be on the side, and then when it swings over, you duck over, you go to the other side. Then when it swings back over, you duck over and go on the other side. Yeah, I was having none of that. I was crunched as low as I could in the middle. So, and then whenever the thing would swing back, I would just try to duck under it so I wouldn't get hit. Not the ideal position, but the ideal position for me, so I didn't take a chance of going overboard into that cold water. There's a video where you can see I'm kind of going slow, and then all of a sudden the wind picks up and just takes me. And then you can see I kind of try to turn it, and it kind of tips one way, and you can see it, and you can hear my mom laughing in the background. And I correct it, and it jumps the other way. And you can tell I get scared, and I jump it real fast, and then I finally get going straight. And you can hear my mom in the background cracking up. It's like, yeah, gave myself a nice little heart attack. There's I remember my mom's boyfriend saying, oh, if you do this, you'll go a lot faster. I was like, yeah, no, I'm not trying to go fast. I'm trying to go nice and easy. Because the faster I go, if I make a mistake, the better chance of me getting tipped and being cold. And if you know me, I hate being cold. I sleep with socks on during the winter because my feet are freezing. So this week was the start of the KBO on ESPN. I know last week I said it was Japan baseball. My mistake. It was South Korean. It's South Korean baseball, not Japan. So my fault. But baseball's not bad. It's not great, but it's not terrible. It's watchable. You have basically it's a league full of Greg Maddux pitchers. They're not going to blow by you with 95-mile-an-hour fastball. They're going to try to paint the corners at 88, 89. Every now and then throw up to like 92. But it's decent baseball. It's pretty quick paced. It's not really slow paced. Everyone's stepping out every now and then. You have a couple power hitters for the most part. The 3, 4, 5 hitters are really the only dangerous. Not should be, but they're the only dangerous hitters in the batting order. If you can get past them, then it's kind of the 6, 7, 8, 9 hitters are not very good, so you kind of play around with them and get out. Once you get past 3, 4, 5, middle of the order, you're pretty set to go. There's one guy on the team. He was on in the Rockies AAA organization last year. He had 30 home runs, so he's got legit power. But you could tell. I remember hearing him on the scouting report saying he doesn't hit lefties very well, so that's why he came here to try to work on hitting lefties. And you kind of tell he bailed on the lefties, so he doesn't have very much power against left-handed pitchers. Something he's going to really have to get used to if he wants to hit major league get back up into the majors. Which Marcus Thames, I forgot what team he plays for now, but he was able to he played in the KBO a couple years ago, got MVP, and he came back over to the majors, and he's producing pretty well. So, I mean, maybe it's just one of those where you just have to get used to kind of seeing major league pitching, or not major league pitching, but better pitching instead of going straight to the pros and AA and whatnot, and seeing that pitching and then kind of get better with that, and then come over to the majors. They have some interesting rules. You're only allowed to have 3 foreign players per team, which makes sense because you don't want the league to be ran by foreign players. Have a full team of Americans or Japanese or Canadians. Only 3, and only 2 can play in a game at one time, which again makes sense. So you can't have 3 American or 3 foreign pitchers. You can only have like 1 foreign first baseman and then maybe another foreign pitcher pitch the same game as them. So again, they can't be the same position. So you can't have 2 foreign pitchers pitch in the same game either. All the teams are in the same time zone. There's only 10 teams. They play 144 games. And normally they have Mondays off, but they're not sure if they're going to be able to do that with having to try to squeeze all the games in with how they started so much later. All the games start at the same exact time since they're all in the same time zone, which is pretty cool. But like I said, it's just so tough to watch. The only games I can really watch are going to be Saturdays because they start at 10 o'clock my time. Other than that, there's no way I can watch them live. They come on at 2:30 in the morning. I tried to watch the second night, but I ended up going to bed at 5 o'clock, and the game was only in the 8th inning. And I was like, nope, I'm done. I'm going to bed. So West Coast, it's tougher to watch the games. But if you're in the East Coast, I mean, if you're waking up semi-early, like 7 or 8, you can watch some baseball while eating breakfast. So, I mean, that would work out as long as the game's close. It'd just be tough because you can't really get to know any of the players, or you don't know any of the players, so it's hard to get into a team. Also, Matt Williams is a manager of a team. He's only the 3rd American coach to ever coach one of the teams, so that's pretty cool. Although I'm not sure how it's got to be hard for him to coach basically everyone. He doesn't speak the language at all, so he has to have a translator talking to everybody, which has to be tough. Can't be easy for a first-time manager in the KBO who doesn't speak that language. Also, there was UFC fights this past weekend. I didn't get to see any of them because, like I said, I went to my mom's on Saturday. But I heard a little bit about it. One guy got his face just got tore up. Somehow he's able to stay in until the 5th. A couple of the fighters said they were able to hear the announcers talking, and they were able to change up what they were doing because they heard the announcer say that they need to switch it up. They're doing too much of this. They need to change this and do this. So they said they were able to change what they did and did what the announcer was saying he needed to do. Which brings up a question. First of all, that tells you how quiet the place was. That he was able to hear the announcer say what he needed to do. Second of all, his corner didn't tell him what to do. His corner wasn't telling him, hey, you're throwing too many hooks, and maybe throwing a kick. Like, I bet you the corner could not have been too happy to hear that he changed up what he was doing based on what the announcer was saying, not what they said he needed to be doing. So maybe they need to needs to fire his corner. They're not telling him what to do correctly. Let's see, the baseball today came up with the agreement. The owners about possibly starting early July, which will be interesting. They play 82 games, I think it is. Basically all conference games for the most part, or all divisional games. So probably the Giants would play basically all their games in the NL West and also the AL West. But the only problem is they'll still have to abide by the state rules. So as of like right now, none of the California teams will be able to play at their own ballpark. So I don't know, maybe they'd all go to Arizona and play. So it still seems a little iffy. But I mean, as long as the divisions are still the same, I'm okay with it. I don't want the Giants and the A's and Angels to all be in the same division. Let's just not play that. That's not real. Come on. Let's keep the divisions the same. Yeah, it'll be baseball, but it won't. No, I don't want the Giants and the A's to be in the same division. But it'll be interesting to see how that comes about. Then me and my roommate were talking about how basketball's floating the idea of playing all their games in like Florida or Vegas. And they were saying how they could, if they did that, they could possibly still get all this playoff series, 7 games. The only problem with that we were thinking about is these guys that play basketball are probably in their early 20s. Can you really trust these players to not go out and experience a nightlife in Florida or in Vegas? You hear all the time when teams have a day off and they're in Miami and they play the next day that they play terrible because they're experiencing that nightlife. And Miami's already loosening up their restrictions. Can you imagine a 19 or like a 23-year-old saying, yeah, I'm going to stay in this hotel and not go experience the nightlife? Like, no, there's no way. They're going to go out. They're going to sneak out and experience the nightlife. You're bound to get someone else that's going to be sick. And like someone mentioned on one of my videos before, a comment, that he can see them restarting and then having to close the season down again because someone gets the coronavirus. And that'll be a prime example. Like someone saying, oh, you know what? I'm not going to get it. I'm going to go out to experience this nightlife. I'm here. I need to have fun. I'm sick of being trapped in this hotel room, not being able to talk to anybody. And also, that's another thing. Like, how do you expect these players that are older to not be around their family for 2 months? Like, not talk to them, or you can FaceTime them, but not see them in person or anything. It's like some of these guys that are older, like a LeBron James, they're real family people. How do you expect them to not be able to talk to their family for 2 months while this whole thing is going on? So it'll be interesting to see if they're able to continue the NBA season. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see if they do. Like I've always said, I would expect baseball to be the first one back, but even then that'll be tough. So until next week, don't forget, hit subscribe. Hopefully I'll have a haircut. Leave any comments if I messed up on anything this time. And I'll see you next week.